Hello everybody and welcome back to Operation Logistics, where we got what I planned to do in this session done. We made it so that the pathfinding entry costs are now working correctly, even off of the biome hexes. And we also made it so that the hexes, or rather the route waypoints, are now draggable. And we fixed the pathfinding on the same hex. So, the question becomes, what now? Well, there is one thing, and that is this retread path. And I think we can just uncomment this out. Right, these are supposed to be int 3s at this point. So, instead of transform.position here, we just add in dot location. I think we just add in dot location, looking at it above. Yeah, that's all it is. Okay, so then the question is this going to work fine? And I suspect it will. Let's just test it quick. And if that's the case, then that's routes honestly basically done. And we can move on to something completely different. Like, I don't know, vehicles or something? Actual generation of packages? That's all going to be a thing. Vehicles is probably going to be what we want to do first, and then they're going to, like, what, follow along the path, check all of the adjacent hexes, and collect vehicles from just, or vehicles, collect packages just from that hex, or from all the adjacent hexes? I'm not entirely sure on all that yet. That is mostly out of scope of today, though. So let's go ahead and purchase ourselves this upscale housing. Create a route. We'll put in a waypoint. Oh, no, we need to select it. We'll put in a waypoint to here, and then a waypoint to, say, here. Now, the retread path is probably there, but it's a little hard to see. Let's move this over here. And yeah, we can see there that the retread path is indeed working. So that makes it so the route is always going to be circular. Which is perfect. That's basically what we're looking for. Now, are some of our routes going to have support for one way? Probably. It depends on where the final waypoint is, right? If the final waypoint is on an owned hex, then maybe that should be considered a one-way route. And if it's not, then it should try to return. I don't know. Potentially. What happens if we try to drag the origin point? Oh. Okay. So, a couple of things. Dragging the origin point works, which is actually pretty cool. I don't hate that. But, as you can see, dragging the origin point moves the entire route, and there's a reason for that. That reason is that the origin point is considered the root of the route. That was a little unclear. But, yeah, the origin point is considered the root object. So moving that moves both of the waypoints. So that's definitely an interesting little thing, little tidbit. And the question is, how do we go about fixing it? We have a couple of options. One, we could make the origination point be a waypoint within the route. Which it already is here. So essentially what I'm saying is we could have an empty that would function as the root prefab, and then the origination point would be within that. And I think that's probably going to be the best way to do this. So if we go into the project, into routes here, we have our origination point. But what we could do is we could create an empty and call this just simply root. I'll call it root prefab. There we go. We'll have an origination point inside of it, And then we can copy this root component and remove that component from the origination prefab, and then paste that in here, with element 0 being this origination point, and the waypoint prefab is currently set like that. So now we have a root prefab in addition to our origination point prefab, which I think we can probably go ahead and get rid of. I think we can. And then we can go into our business, I suspect. That's the selected root. Root origination prefab would just be root prefab. Like that. And then the root origination point in here would be considered a waypoint, and this would be what would be dragged inside of this. The question is, does changing this structure break anything? It should fix that bug where dragging the origination point will move the other waypoints along with it. It should fix that, but will it break anything else? Well, we need to test that. And if this works properly, then I think, with the exception of one-way routes, then I think we can safely say that routes are basically done, at least functionality-wise. And honestly, routes are the most complicated thing that we're going to have to do. Like, we're actually getting quite close here to having this thing be fully functional. Most of the technical stuff is done now, and it's just going to be implementing some very basic systems, followed by a couple of art and optimization passes, and that'll be that, pretty much. Okay, so let's come on in here, and land management, buy land. We will go ahead and purchase this duplex. Route management, create route, bam. Okay, we have a slight problem there. And that is that the origination point is offset a little bit. There we go. So we want the origination point to be at like a y of... Well, we want the origination point to be at the position that we spawn at. So the building hex position plus... Actually... This is going to spawn... Well, no, the waypoint. So basically 0.05, right? 0.05. Like that. Okay, so we select this. Yeah, must have a route selected. We select the route. Okay, so route selection is currently broken. Good to know. Good to know. And I think there is a reason for that. In fact, I know what the reason for that is. But this needs to be, instead of 0.025, this needs to be 0.005 in the prefab. So we'll go ahead and fix that little issue. And then the other thing is in the route here. Let's see, where do we do our route selection? Is that in the waypoint? Oh, does the origination point not have the route set? That's correct. That would help. Okay. I think that's gonna fix it. Although I don't know why that didn't give us a null reference exception. I feel like it should have. I definitely feel like that should have given us a null reference exception. Okay, well, let's go ahead and run this. And the other thing that we might want to be able to do with routes is be able to change the order of the waypoints in the route. Maybe. Because as of right now, it always appends a waypoint to the end of the route. There's no way to inpend? I don't know if that's a word. but there's no way to insert into the middle of the route right now. You can only append to the end of the route, which means that if you want a new stop in the middle of your route, you're going to have to restructure the whole thing. Well, not quite the whole thing, but a significant portion of it. So there is that. That said, that can be done in like a polishing pass. I'm mostly just happy that it's functional right now. So let's go ahead and head down in here. Buy land, we'll buy this clearing. Route management, create route, bam. Select the route. There we go. Excellent. And now, moment of truth. Hey! Okay. Wonderful. Okay, and then it's retracing back this way, so that's actually a overlapping route there. Technically, this is probably more efficient than this, because it's basically the same distance, but you cover a whole lot more hexes on your pickup. So you'd want it to be something kind of like this. And then this, you'd probably want to be like over here. But then say, what if you wanted to grab from this cabin? Well, you could put in a waypoint here. But this is a really inefficient route now, because it comes up here, does all of this, and then comes back down here, like that, and then back to there. And so you're just like, well, I want it to hit this first. Well, if you want to do that, then you're going to need to take this waypoint down here first, and then this waypoint, actually this waypoint over to here, and then this waypoint to here. So you have to restructure basically the whole thing for that to happen. It would certainly be nice to have the ability to insert on the route. Like if you clicked here, that appended at the end, but it would be super nice if it detected that it was in between, say, this waypoint and just inserted it there, and then you could grab it and move it out like that. It's not going to work like that right now. But that's something that I'm going to add to a new list that I'm creating in my spreadsheet here. The Operation Logistics to-dos. So, the first thing that we're going to do here is there are two major categories of to-dos for the route waypoints. The first one is one-way routes. Currently, all routes loop back to the origin point. This may not be desirable. And these to-dos are things that we will get to later in polishing optimization passes, that sort of thing. We'll come back to it. For now, I'm going to say that routes are working as intended-ish. But the other major thing that we want to be able to do for routes is insert waypoints along routes without them going at the end of routes. Now, there's relatively simple ways that we could implement both of those, but as of right now, I feel like the best thing that we can do is move on and start developing some actual gameplay. Isn't that a thought? Like, real, actual gameplay? We can't do that. No, surely not. I don't think we can do that. Not this episode, anyway. I'm going to go ahead and put a cut in here. When I start up the next session, we will dive into some gameplay. Subscribe for more, and I will see you all then.